So hi everybody, we were just looking in your package. Those of you at home, you will have this paper in your package talking about Canada's immigrant population. So we've just been talking about how this is data. So we call data, or statistics, any numbers and things that we collect that tell us, give us a picture about what's going on in our world. So you have this Canada's immigrant population, and we're about to look at some tables that talk about that, because we're studying tables this week. So the first question is, according to most recent census data, and this again isn't most recent, Canada's population is about 30 million, and we've said it's actually now about 37. Of this population, how many do you think are immigrants? So what's your guys' estimate about what is the immigrant population? So there's a bit of a cheater in the room. If you want to cheat, you can look up at the board. You can't see it, but they can see it. I have a table posted, and it says, but maybe the numbers are, we're going to practice reading numbers, because sometimes it's hard to figure out, how would I say that number? Because it's a pretty big number. Does anyone want to give it a go? Can you see from where you're sitting? Yep.
7,540,825.
Yeah. So that's what's telling. This is from 2016. See you, Presley. Take care. And this is where dates come in really important in a table title, right? Because if that didn't say 2016, we might think it's right now. And right now, we could maybe estimate that number is a little bit higher. You guys are going to look at a table together with your partner from 2006. What do you think that number was at that point? Do you think it was higher or lower? Yeah. By how much? Make a guess. We're going to make a guess up here, and then when you see the table, you can see how close you were. Yeah, so this is 10 years later. How much less do you think it would have been in 2006? Just a wild guess.
5 million?
5 million? Sure. Anybody else want to take a guess? So maybe about 5 million. You'll get to see in a little bit. Okay. How many people do you think immigrate to Canada each year? What do you guys think? Just
About
100,000? Okay. I know the numbers were down a lot this last year over COVID. Yeah, anybody else want to take a guess? How many come each year? No? Okay. That's okay. You don't have to guess. Do you think the number of immigrants coming into Canada is increasing or decreasing? So I just mentioned that this last year definitely decreased because of COVID-19. But do you think in general, before COVID happened, do you think immigration in our country was increasing or decreasing?
Increasing.
Increasing. Why? Why do we immediately go to increasing?
Because you heard it everywhere.
Okay, because you hear it everywhere. But why do you think? Why do you think Canada is letting more immigrants come to our country? Or why do you think that the government's making those decisions?
It's a free country.
Okay, it's a free country.
And also the States was kicking all those people out.
Okay.
Canada was the medicine.
Sure. So Canada.
People are also trying to avoid staying in the wars.
Okay, so you guys are talking a lot about humanitarian reasons. So when we talk about humanitarian, we talk about those goodwill things where we want to let people in, maybe like Parvana's family, the fictitious family. So you're kind of thinking about refugee situations, right?
Right.
Refugee. But what else? Is it only refugees? Those are the ones we tend to hear about. But do you think it's only refugees that are immigrating to Canada? No. There's lots of different kinds of people actually that are coming. So why? Why do you think our government is saying immigration is a good thing and Canada needs to have immigration?
Because
Why?
of work, maybe.
Work, yeah. What about birth rate? So those of you in stage 3, I just see Nada there. Natty over there. And Maggie, you don't have this yet, and Anna, you weren't with us the other day to get this, but I gave you a chart where you were a table comparing the birth rate of Afghanistan to the birth rate of Canada. And what did you find, Natty?
I think they were the same, right?
I don't know. Were they? Okay.
There's something this.
Okay.
But I know it's low.
Yeah.
Our population is not increasing very much.
Exactly. Our population in Canada is not increasing with the number of people who are already here. So the government is able to look at these tables and charts and numbers and do all kinds of figuring and say, you know, if we want to have workers, if we want to keep growing as a country, we need to invite people in because the people already living here are not producing enough children to carry this country further into the future. Yeah. So we tend to hear about the humanitarian stuff, and people tend to have a lot of opinions about whether we should welcome or not welcome those people. But we don't hear about, actually there's way more non-refugees that are coming to our country than refugees. And but both have, there's different reasons for inviting people. And that's not to say that the refugees aren't skilled workers either. There's plenty of refugees who come who are skilled workers as well. Okay. Of the current immigration population in Canada, which 3 countries do you think are the most common countries of origin and why? So if you, again, wanted to cheat, you could. And then we can compare it to 2006. But we have a table up here from 2016. What were the 3 most common?
India, maybe South Africa, China.
So we've got India as number 1. Then China, and then, I don't know if you guys can see it,
Philippines.
the Philippines, yeah. And we see that in this area, right? There's a lot of Filipino people that come and settle in this area. So India, China, and Philippines. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see when I give you the chart from 2006, you guys can see if those 3 countries were the most popular countries back then as well. How many years ago? What's 21 subtract 6? All the mathematicians out there.
15.
Yeah, 2015. You can see if, yeah, it was the same. Okay, numbers. How do you guys feel about reading those big numbers? Susie just rattled off that 7,540,825. How do you guys feel about numbers when you see the numbers on the page and then you have to read the number out? It's all good?
I am not very good at saying
Okay.
the big numbers.
Yeah, the big numbers.
There are way too much numbers.
Yes, there are way too many numbers. Okay, if you have trouble pronouncing large numbers or thinking about large numbers, there's a little, we won't do too much more with that. I was going to do a little exercise with that, but I think we're kind of running low on time. But if that is a problem for you, you can look at that, take a little look at that square. What we're going to do right now is, this is our last little practice before I'll send you off to work on your assignments that you got the other day. But I'm going to give you each a chart from 2006, which is the same chart here, but 10 years back, which talks about population. And you are going to have certain numbers in your chart that your partner doesn't have, and your partner is going to have the numbers you're looking for. So, for example, if you have a gap in China, what number of people came from China before 1991? You notice you don't have that number. You would ask your partner would look at her table and say 466,940, and then you would write that number into your chart. So if that's a little confusing for you with your numbers, work together with your partner to try and figure out how that number would look when you want to put it on the paper. Does that make sense? Okay.
I have one question.
Yes.